Ensuring we are providing high-quality services to students depends on authentically engaging and involving families that we serve. Family contributions and stories should be an integral component of the academic and social-emotional curriculum implemented in any learning environment. The Illinois State Board of Education's Family Engagement Framework can be used to engage, re-engage, and sustain positive, proactive, and ongoing family involvement. Doing so empowers the adults in children's lives to collaborate and support sustainable student growth and achievement. Districts, building leaders, and educators embed this in all aspects of family engagement: professional development, curriculum, instruction, and assessment, creating systems, structures, and processes that can be implemented with fidelity and sustained over time. The Illinois State Board of Education developed the Family Engagement Standards of Effective Practice to provide guidance to educators, districts, schools, families, and communities as they plan, implement, and evaluate family engagement strategies to support student success. There are 4 components that are simultaneously independent, interdependent, and interrelated. The principles for family engagement are: develop a family engagement system, build a welcoming and supportive environment, enhance communication, and include families in decision-making. When we think of this component of the framework, the operative word is develop. This indicates that family engagement and family involvement happen when districts, school leaders, and educators intentionally and strategically establish systemic structures that encourage meaningful family and community engagement as an ongoing part of improvement efforts. It is understood that to do this, families and community members should be invited experts and valued stakeholders. The Division of Early Childhood of the Council for Exceptional Children's recommended practices suggest that this means treating families with dignity and respect by developing practices that are individualized, flexible, and responsive to each family's unique circumstances. Doing so ensures that created systems are diverse, equitable, and inclusive for all stakeholders.
Build a team, absolutely, and meet regularly, so there's common language of people hearing the same things for sure.
Absolutely.
And what we've been trying to do is build leaders within our teaching staff, so we can build on that, build up that capacity.
Having time for our family specialists and our teachers to talk through a lot of those, a lot of the areas that we want to grow in, and make some goals for our district as a whole, and also having teachers set individual goals for their classroom, and how are we making families feel welcomed, how are we connecting, how are we communicating with the families.
I just like the activities. We get to come in and, they have something going on. We get to interact and with the kids and stuff. It's fun, and then they learning at the same time. So I love it. It's good.
Absolutely.
It's a great program.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely agree with that. And it's just that, the parents' presence. We like to be present. We like to show our kids we're going to be there, especially when time makes sense. And even when sometimes when it doesn't, we make it happen for them so that they have that motivation, or they continue to be inspired. They're in tune of what the goals are.
I guess the teachers I do coach, they always, I would say, are always thinking about that family piece. And then I really try to break it down into small areas like communication, making a family feel welcome. Like, let's break it down to small goals and move forward from there, and really using our resources. Here's what we know about families and how it's important, and giving them those resources, giving them ideas of what other teachers are doing, so we could always make those improvements.
When I think about centering children and making sure that the messages that we give and the systems that we develop are inclusive, I automatically go to parents who are experts on their own children, experts on our community. When I think about educators sitting around the table, I think of a circle. So I think of all of us encompassing around the child and then moving toward letting everyone around the table have a voice and really give from their perspective what that system might look like.
This component of the framework gives us our greatest hint at what family engagement really is. It is something that is created. Although families are naturally a part of a school system through the attendance of their children, family engagement is not necessarily a natural progression. Although many districts and schools recognize the importance of family engagement in supporting the learning and healthy development of students, when one thinks of building, tools and resources are often thought of. The tools needed to build a welcoming environment include relational trust, such as genuinely listening to what families have to say and taking their views into account in subsequent actions. Another tool is outreach. There are strong positive links between extensive outreach efforts and families' decision to become and stay involved.
Here at Brigham, we strive to make it a welcoming environment for everyone, for all students and parents. So some of the things we do, we host an open house before school starts, and we want to get all parents into the classrooms and meet their teachers, get them to establish that relationship right away. Last year, that was a challenge due to the pandemic. So one of the things that we did was we did a video of the whole school with a tour, and we posted it to our Facebook. We sent it out to families, and we've left that up so kids and families can kind of tour the building throughout the year together without having to physically be present in here. We also have a lot of events throughout the year that we try to get parents involved in. We have done some welcome back to school picnics. We have had some family math nights, some family board game nights. And we also try to have informational meetings where families can chat with me or they can come in and ask questions, things like that. We try to always have an open door policy in our office.
Well, families are the most important teacher in a child's life, so it's important that we are encouraging their participation in the classroom and the school environment and making them feel like they're part of the educational team for their child.
My advice to anyone that is in a position to welcoming families into school would be to just really take the time, listen to what their concerns are and what their needs are, and just be honest and give them examples of your own personal experiences, maybe with your own children, to kind of help ease any concerns that that family may be facing.
One of the most important things I do is connect with families. Establishing relationships from the very, very beginning is key. During open house, I like to have the photographs that the families send me displayed throughout the classroom, just so it's inviting to them. They can see themselves in the room. Each study that we finish, we have a wow experience at the end to kind of celebrate all the things that we've learned. So I always invite all the families in and they get to experience a celebration with us. So we're not asking anything from the parents, just to be present and be with us. I like to just have them involved in celebrating their kids' success. So they're in our room and they're looking at the different things that we're doing and they're just celebrating the joy that their kids experiencing within the school day.
Right now they're gardening. The parents brought in different seeds and soil to help the students, and I think the children seeing their parents engaged in it makes them excited too. Like, we had an exercise unit and the parents had to exercise with the students and they enjoyed us struggling, so.
Engaging in reciprocal partnerships with families and fostering community connections is an excellent segue to the family engagement component, enhanced communication. Family input and diverse perspectives are valuable, so utilizing a variety of modalities to increase two-way exchange of information is crucial. Taking into consideration the diverse language and cultural backgrounds of the families they serve, districts, school leaders, and teachers should have ongoing, positive, proactive dialogue. This should then result in reciprocal partnerships in creating and implementing strategies to address barriers to academic and social development of students.
So from the beginning of the year, I send out a survey for parents to get to know them, who's living at their house, telling me about their hobbies, what their kid likes, what their goals are for their kid for the school year, and then really trying to focus on the information the family tells me and kind of incorporate it into the things I notice and help motivate the child throughout the year.
When brought into the program, there's been staff members that have helped us find out what we might need extra outside of school. The teachers right now have many different ways of communicating with us, and I found that to be very helpful. And they've always welcomed us to reach out to them with any questions that we may have. Our teacher currently, she is very flexible with her communication. She emails, she goes through the Teaching Strategies app, she's got a Facebook page to really engage with us, to show different things that our child's doing, sending us videos, just kind of keeping us involved in what's going on day to day.
Having the two-way communication with the families makes me be more intentional with my teaching practices in the classroom. A family was telling me about their child's great number sense at home, and that he was counting by 2s and by 5s and by 10s and really understands number relationships. And sometimes that's not something that we always are looking for in the early childhood classroom. I'm seeing if they can count up to 20, if they can count with the one-to-one correspondence. And so once I had that information from the family, I was able to use that and be more intentional with my work with that student, and notice he was able to count by 2s and by 5s, and I could give him number sense problems, and he was really able to evaluate those and learn from them, and I could extend his learning.
And then they also send out information also, ways to help.
To kind of help. So those things that say, hey, let's do this at home, we definitely get through those activities at home. So when she get to school, she already, on the same page with the teacher. Oh, I did this with mom or dad at home. So it kind of helps there. So we just adjust as needed, just kind of flexible with some of those parenting skills. So
Communication is so important. I taught remote all last year. The whole year I was the remote learning teacher for early learning. And so I really realized that maintaining open and ongoing communication with parents is key to student success. So I really tried this year to keep that in mind and be intentional about it. So sending communication in multiple forms. Some families don't have technology at home. Some families don't have smartphones or computers, so sending paper copies of things, even if I notice the papers are still in the backpack, then going even further, making a phone call home. If I can't get in touch with them, we have a family coordinator in our building, so I'm talking with the family coordinator about getting in touch with the family, through phone calls or home visits.
It makes me happy that Ms. Summers reaches out and she sends us photos during the day sometimes of what they're doing, and she updates us on the units that they're learning. So at home, we can continue the learning, and he can see school is important and it's fun at the same time.
The final component of the Illinois Family Engagement Framework is including families in decision-making. The first consideration should be to ensure that when family involvement systems and strategies are developed, families are invited as experts and welcomed as stakeholders. The Division of Early Childhood of the Council for Exceptional Children's recommended practices reminds us that families, districts, building leaders, and teachers work together to achieve mutually agreed upon outcomes and goals for students. Additionally, the National Association for the Education of Young Children's Developmentally Appropriate Practice statement suggests acknowledging a family's individual choices and goals for their child and responding with sensitivity and respect to those preferences and concerns is important. Therefore, it is both the collective and individual voices of families that districts, building leaders, and educators include in decision-making whenever and wherever possible.
At the beginning of the school year, we send like an electronic survey. The parents are writing the goals. So then I'm just kind of receiving that information and kind of just using it to get to know the parents, the goals they have for their kids. And then during parent-teacher conferences, we look at what they've accomplished, where they're at academically, socially, things like that. And then we look at what could be next. And I'm kind of showing the parents some goals that they could have and then asking, well, what do you think would be best for your child? What kind of things do you want your child to work on during that time?
Being part of the process through the Meet the Teacher nights, they've been really good about asking what our goals are for our child and how they can help us meet those goals. At the Meet the Teacher night, I also got to work one-on-one with my son's speech pathologist and really get down to what goals we want to work with for him. We also have the IEP meetings and stuff that we kind of work through, individualize what he needs. Parent-teacher conferences are another good one that I've always found to be very hands-on with what they're asking me, what do I want to see out of my child, as well as showing us how they've progressed through the year.
As an early childhood educator, we are usually the first teacher and school environment that a student and a family has been in, at least for a while for the parents. And so it's important that they feel welcome and they feel included and that they feel like their voice is going to be heard for their students and for their families so that we can build a successful school year together.
A small step, even though it may be small, is definitely a step in, moving forward in the right direction to, greater and stronger family engagement.
School is important to me, so I want it to be important to him. So I feel like if I show interest in what he's doing at school, he'll have more interest in it as well.
We have learned so much throughout getting to know our families and really forming those relationships. We learned in the last few years how important it is to have empathy and to really be flexible. Not every family needs the same thing. Really learning their stories and learning about them plays a huge role.
Working with families is one of my favorite things. I really have always, even as a teacher in the years past, that's been one of my things that I always thought was really important because we know the kids, but we don't know them in any way as good as their parents do. So reach out, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and just make a random phone call and engage with those families that might need some extra support. I always try to think at early learning, we are the very first school experience that a family has, and you want it to be fantastic. You want it to be positive because it's going to lay that foundation for the rest of their school experience.